Odette, this is your fourth book.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about it, please?
If you're talking about go on a platter, this was basically my dream.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking about why a dream, when I'd gone for my award to Paris, I still remember it was with a lot of pride. My name was called out
For your earlier book.
for the early book Masky.
Yeah, yeah.
And they just said the winner of the special jury award, Odette Mascarenhas from Goa, India.
Yeah.
And everybody at the end of it, there were a lot of writers, about nearly 800 odd writers were there, and they all were very curious to know where was Goa. A lot of people heard about Delhi, a lot of people had heard about Kerala. I'm talking about not the tourists, this was more about people who write books and people, who know. And we were so busy telling them about Goa and the beauty of Goa, because they'd only heard about the beaches. And then they said, what about the food of Goa? What type of food do you have? And because I normally write about food, and India has got so many cuisines, and I do know Goan food is so fantastic. People come to Goa for its food, but there were a lot of people, maybe the way you have the chicken butter masala, which is made so popular in England and all, I kept on thinking to myself, why can't we take the cuisine of Goa and share with it? People come to Goa for the cuisine, why can't our cuisine go out?
Yeah.
With this in mind, I told Joe, I'm going to do something. Let's work on quality, because that is what Goa should sort of, symbolize. And we work on each and every taluka. If a tourist comes here, he knows where to eat. Yeah. He knows where you get a simple curry or a nice fish plate, or if he wants to eat a continental meal, where will he get it? Let him come to know about our different talukas, which a lot of people perhaps even today are a little bit confused about. And there are places, even I as a person being in Goa for so long, like Kepe and Sange and all these places, what really the mystique, I'm using the word mystique, there's so much in those places which perhaps a lot of people didn't know. So I decided to put it together.
And what's the contents of this book?
Oh, I went into fun, food and frolic, because I think Goa has everything. Now let me take the word fun. Now you'll say, why fun? For me, fun would be maybe just lazing on the beach. For somebody else, fun would be maybe taking a cruise down the Mandavai River. Another person, fun would be seeing the historical aspect of Goa. So fun would basically be focused on what a person really wants to take out of Goa. So that is why the first part of the book, when you talk about fun, was basically go to all your talukas. What can you see? And we're talking about a place for pilgrims. You're talking about historical forts. You're talking about the river, beautiful, which the hinterland, which a lot of people have not seen. But we really
so it's not just food; it's also
it's also a slice of Goa. That's why I called it Goa on a platter.
Okay.
I'm putting it across for everybody. But at the end of each taluka, there is a sort of a guide as to what to eat and where.
Now, could you tell us a bit about your own interest in the culinary arts, apart from being the daughter-in-law of the famous Masky?
Oh, that's really interesting. Way back in '79, I still remember, I had not met Joe, and we had...
Joe is your husband, who's the son of...
the legendary chef Masky.
Masky, okay.
And way back in '79, when I joined the Taj, I still remember when I'd gone for my interview, they said, we would like you to join the kitchen. But I don't know whether it was fate or whatever. If I joined the kitchen, there was no chance I would have met Joe. So I decided to join the food and beverage side of it. That means basically, and something very funny, maybe that's how I got the gift of selling a certain dish to a person. Because when you are in the front, you are basically selling a certain product. That means you have to have an in-depth knowledge about the product, as well as how would you recommend it to somebody else.
So you're like expat Goans based in Bombay who grew up in Bombay? Or?
I was born and brought up in Bombay. My mother, and they're total Goans from Asagaon. And Joe's father was born in Goa. And there was always that dream, or maybe there was a full circle that finally we landed up here. And
Goa was home where you would one day get back to.
Oh yes, we still have the house in Anjuna.
I see.
And of course, when you wanted to come here, where I'm always on my computer, so I need the power and all this. So this is the right place for us to really.
Anjuna meaning Masky?
Masky's place. It was a place which I still remember. Everybody who knew Masky said it was a place which he really loved. He really loved. We still have that house there, and hopefully one day we will, bring it up.
Masky was a famous chef in the Taj from which year to which year?
He joined in 1919. He joined in 1919, and he was never retired till the day that he died.
I see. That
never
was
retired. He died in 81.
At what age?
At the age of 72.
Really?
72.
And he has this restaurant in the
At the Taj,
Benauli, named after him.
Miguel Arcanj. You know, it was such an interesting story, and the reason why I wrote that book also, which many people maybe do not know, I'm basically a management consultant. And when I go into companies in Goa, we basically like the youth to know that it is not only, position or power or, sort of thing. It is sheer hard work and grit.
Skill.
Yeah, and working on your skill that will ultimately achieve what you want.
Talent.
The talent. So I started writing Maskey. With an idea of making it a case study. But I was so engrossed in the whole topic, it just went on to 100 pages. I never ever thought of myself as a writer. Never ever thought of it. I guess it is Maskey who perhaps, by writing about his story and the way that it was published and inspired, I really felt it was something.
So the first book is on Maskey, and that is kind of a biography of him together with recipes and a whole lot of...
This is a very interesting question that you have posed to me, because I faced a lot of problems with publishers on this basis. I guess like every artist or a painter as a writer, I didn't want to be caught whether it's going to be a cookery book or it's going to be a management book or whether it's going to be a biography. Because if you look at Maskey, we're talking about what that man developed as a managerial entity to achieve success in his life. I went with this idea to a lot of publishers, and they kept on asking me this question: where will I position the book in the bookshop? And I turned around and I said, see, it's not a question of positioning of a book, it's a question of what I'm talking about, the man. He was basically a chef, so you're talking about the cookery aspect. He was basically a person who is a good management, that's how he rose and climbed up the ladder. And on the other side is a story about him, it's a biography. So why do we have to categorize? And even each and every book which I've written, now here you might ask me, is it a culinary book or is it a guide? Again I say no, it is Goa on a platter.
It's not watertight compartments.
There's no watertight compartments. I'm talking about Goa. How can you put it in watertight compartments? That's why I put it as, it's the food, it's the culture, it's the heritage that draws the person to Goa. It's not only the culture per se. People are coming for a lot of, we have people calling us up and say, where do we eat? Where do we take people out for a meal? Or where can I get authentic Goan food? So it's not only the beaches which are enticing. Maybe again, when you're putting the shacks, you see all the shacks perhaps with just one type of cuisine. Are we really working out? Sorry, if I go on to that, it's a question of what we're showcasing Goa with. So it was this in mind actually when I started developing. Now if you look at the talukas, you'll find in Tiswadi, and if you're talking about Anjuna, which is your Bades taluka, maximum number of restaurants. What about the other restaurants? Tomorrow somebody is going to a particular place like Kanakona, where besides 3 places which are really good, where does he eat?
There's a lack of awareness also. The restaurants, maybe there may not be so many in number, but there's lack of awareness.
Possibly. And what I plan to do now, this is the first step. My idea was a restaurant has to establish its reputation for 3 years. Because there are a lot of fly-by-night restaurants that just open and then they just close down. So that was the first criteria. 3 years, establish a reputation. We had a panel. There was a panel of 12 people who were surveying the different restaurants. If it was 8 out of 12, because food is something which may be appealing to you and it may not appeal, it's different. So if it's 8 out of 12, then we pulled in that restaurant into that category. That's why when this review was done, we've done it through the TTAG. So there were people who know about food. And I said, fine, we critique, Joe and myself, we go into restaurants, we review a restaurant, but besides the 2 of us who might know about food, a lay person who might like to visit a restaurant might not know about the authenticity about a dish, but what really, entices his palate. So that is why we did a lot of homework. It took a lot of research when we wrote this book. And I'm surprised that, luckily for me, I was writing the column, luckily, so I was able to, this whole book was done in 1 month.
I see.
It was, but it was always that idea at the back of my mind that we had to take something out like
What's the response like so far? It's new, no? It's just...
we managed to sell 500.
I see.
From the 21st of December till now. One thing which a lot of people told me, they said it's very colorful. We have not taken old photographs of, which we find everywhere else. It's a question of we're looking at Goa through food, and through food the heritage and the culture.
I think food is a very important part of Goa, just like maybe song and these kind of things.
It
Sport
is.
to some extent.
It is, because what we also don't realize, people come here maybe for a vindaloo or a shek or the items which they know about. But there is so much of the Hindu Goan cuisine which was there before the Portuguese era.
Yeah.
There are so many of the Hindu Goan dishes which have now been modified to suit our taste today. But it's not something which has been shared with a lot of people. So this gives you a picture of the Hindu Goan, the Christian Goan, the Portuguese, the influences, everything on a platter.
Just